Turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, I don't think he's wearing pants. I don't think he, wait, what?
What up, YouTube?
Everybody seems to have something to say about the Supreme Court decision on marriage equality. And it's called marriage equality. Equality. That's a bad thing. I grew up in the church. I understand the perspective of the church in terms of what the Bible says about homosexuality, what the Bible says about marriage. Keeping in mind, though, that marriage was not always one man and one woman. David, multiple wives. Solomon, hundreds of wives. There were plenty of people in the Bible, and I know I just named 2 examples, but there were a number of people in the Bible who had more than one wife. So how is the biblical example of marriage one man and one woman? That's not what it is in the Bible. So what's interesting to me is how people want to get so up in arms about the idea that marriage is under attack. How? I honestly want to know. Please let me know down below, because I don't get it. If you're married and according to your own personal understanding of marriage, how does someone else getting married affect your marriage? Or even how does it affect your understanding of what marriage means? How? If I'm married to a woman and I believe that the only definition of marriage, the true definition of marriage is a man and a woman, then it should not matter to me what anyone else does, because their belief of what marriage is does not affect my marriage. Even if you take their belief and make it a law that it has to be included within the privileges of marriage, within the institution of marriage. Now, and what's really crazy to me is, why can't you extrapolate this idea of marriage is between man and woman? Take that idea and then go ahead and extrapolate that to love, say. 2 people can't be in love. You don't really love him. You don't really love her. How do you know? What does it even have to do with you? That's how I approach this situation. I'm a straight man. I've only dated women, and I will only date women. How do I feel about homosexuality? I don't understand it. I really don't. At the same time, I wouldn't tell somebody they cannot be homosexual, because it's not my business. I'm gonna have to borrow the pastor's little cloth right here. It does not affect me at all. Who you choose to love, be with, date, is your business. At the same time, there's no cause for that. That's not okay. That's not okay. I don't know what point you're trying to make. If your point is, now that the Supreme Court has ruled in favor of marriage equality, now, who knows, Jesus could have been gay. That's a stretch. That's a stretch. I mean, really? He could have been? I wasn't around back then. The scriptures have been rewritten and translated and interpreted so many times that the original thoughts, the original translations are probably long gone. And truthfully, who knows what's accurate? It's my understanding is scholars date the writing of the scriptures around 40 years after the events of the scriptures had transpired, after everything in the scriptures had transpired and was concluded. 40 years after that, somebody decided to start writing about it. How was it that 40 years later, people are writing things that some weren't around for? They're telling stories. Stories are told and passed down from generation to generation. When these stories are passed down, it's like a game of telephone. Trash truck passing. Trash guy's loud. I don't know if you've ever played the game of telephone, but as a kid, you sit in a large circle, and whoever starts, they come up with a phrase, and they whisper it into the ear of the person next to them. That person takes what they heard, and then they turn, and then they say the same thing. They're supposed to say the same thing to the person next to them, all right? And the idea is to whisper it all the way around the circle so that when it comes back to where it started, the person next to them, they say out loud what it is. And then the person at the beginning can verify if that's what they said. But the whole concept is that it's funny to see how the truth changes, passed from person to person. We're flawed. We have different perspectives and understanding of what the truth actually is. But the point is, it's possible to cross the line. And that picture went too far. Just in terms of doing things in good taste, it's not a good look. It doesn't represent you well. I know there are gay people on my friends list who saw it and thought, wow, that is not okay. I agree. But what's interesting is there is a lot more negativity coming from church. It's silly that this has to be an argument. It's silly that this has to be a fight. Does it somehow demean or diminish the meaning of marriage by allowing someone with whom you may not necessarily agree, by allowing them to marry, by at least admitting they have the right to marry? It does not take anything away from your concept and understanding of marriage. And if it does, doesn't that mean that's something you should evaluate? Check yourself on that. I was at House of Blues in Anaheim. I was on Periscope, and I was talking to a few people about marriage equality and their perception of the ruling. We were speaking with people in Holland.
I don't think that the Supreme Court decision was supposed to change the way that the churches address marriage and same-sex marriage. Church is only for you personally. Okay, that's how it is in Europe. I was not aware of that. That's interesting. Regarding the government and its view of same-sex marriage and
or the
marriage.
states. The states
okay, yeah, the
agreeing
states.
on what the feds had already agreed on.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But that doesn't involve making individual churches.
All right now,
I believe that.
Maybe not yet.
don't do me now.
I don't think it should. I hope they're here. Where are you? Where are you, love doctor? Are you in Europe right now? Holland.
Oh, wow.
Holland. Welcome to the conversation. Thank you for your input. It seems like Europe is so much more advanced on certain things, so much more forward and progressive when it comes to certain things. And whether we agree with it or not, it's progressive to make certain moves that other people haven't made yet. That's her perspective. And she doesn't want to touch it. I'm not going to touch it. She going to be uncomfortable trying to touch it like I'm trying to make her touch it. I'm not trying to make nobody touch it because that's just wrong. That's just wrong. I'm not going to do that.
So if you haven't checked out the Periscope app, check it out. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I hope we can get to a point where we understand that your belief does not affect my belief. Your faith is your own. Your beliefs are your own. Live and let live. It's simple. And don't feel like you have to use your freedom to take someone else's. Worrying about what someone else is doing. What was to say? Get down. Get off, please. Thank you. Here's hoping that we can figure this thing out on a global scale. It's the mindset of I need to control what somebody else is allowed to do. I need to be able to define someone else's humanity. I need to be able to define someone else's ability to do things that I feel are right for me because I have the true perspective. I have the understanding. we see ourselves as better than people, and that's when things start going downhill. All right, YouTube. I'm Eric. I hope you guys have a good day. If you enjoy the videos, like, subscribe, share. If you don't agree with it, let me know. I'm gonna go play with the dogs. Y'all be good. The Bible says that God made French fries and made them to go with ketchup. Now, I like my fries along with my burger. Now, I've been in the restaurant and seen people putting their French fries with mayonnaise, and it make my stomach quiver. God don't like ugly, and I just lost my appetite. Mayonnaise. But you seem to think that my ketchup is all wrong, and your mayonnaise is all right. But I can't eat my ketchup if you eat that mayonnaise, because your mayonnaise make my fries taste like sin. Somebody turn to your neighbor and say, ketchup, 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 ketchup.